All right, I've got a quote. Well, it's a quote within a quote, or a quote within a book. I'm reading Aldous Huxley's Perennial Philosophy, which is a very interesting read. I highly recommend it to anyone. It kind of demonstrates or sets out to demonstrate the oneness of spirituality. Anyway, this quote or this little story is from the Chandogya Upanishad. And it just talks about the nature of the self. When Svetaku was 12 years old, he was sent to a teacher with whom he studied until he was 24. After learning all the Vedas, which is quite a task actually, after learning all of the Vedas, he returned home full of conceit in the belief that he was consummately well educated and very censorious. I had to look censorious up. It means to be very critical of others. And interestingly enough, St. Paul in the Christian scriptures says that knowledge puffs up, but love builds up. And so that's the difference between a spiritual knowledge and a head knowledge, is a head knowledge will turn you into a somewhat puffed up individual who tends toward censorious behavior, very critical behavior. His father said to him, "Svetaku, my child, you who are so full of your learning and so censorious, have you asked for that knowledge by which we hear the unhearable, by which we perceive that which cannot be perceived, and know what cannot be known?" "What is that knowledge, sir?" asked Svetaketu. His father replied, "As by knowing one lump of clay, all that is made of clay is known, the difference being only in name, but the truth being that all is clay. So, my child, is that knowledge, knowing which, by which we know all. But surely these venerable teachers of mine are ignorant of this knowledge, for if they possessed it, they would have imparted it to me. Do you, sir, therefore give me that knowledge?" "So be it," said his father. And he said, "Bring me a fruit of the Nyagyodha tree." "Here is one, sir." "Break it." "It is broken, sir." "What do you see there?" "I see some seeds, sir, exceedingly small." "Break one of these." "It is broken, sir." "What do you see there?" "Nothing." "I see nothing at all." The father said, "My son, the subtle essence which you do not perceive there, in that very essence stands the being of the huge Nyagyodha tree." Right? Saying that in that tiny little seed that you've broken and now can't see anything of because it's so small, within that seed is the essence of that giant tree that it will produce. In that which is the subtle essence, all that exists has itself. That is the true, that is the self, and thou, Svetaketu, art that. "Pray, sir," said the son, "tell me more." "Be it so, my child," the father replied. He said, "Place this salt in some water and come to me tomorrow morning." The son did as he was told. The next morning the father said, "Bring me that salt which you put in the water." Of course the son looked for it but could not find it, for the salt, of course, had dissolved. The father said, "Taste some of the water from the surface of that vessel. How is it?" "Salty." "Taste some from the middle. How is that?" "It's also salty." "Taste some from the bottom. How is that?" "Why, it's also salty," said Svetaketu. The father said, "Well, throw the water away and then come back to me again." The son did so, but the salt was not lost, for salt exists forever. Then the father said, "Here likewise, in this body of yours, my son, you do not perceive the true, but there, in fact, it is. In that which is the subtle essence, all that exists has itself. That is the true, that is the self, and thou, Svetaketu, art that."